Welcome to round 6, where we're gonna go ahead and get things started here with the medieval faction versus the ancient faction. Now, that's all you need to see. It's whether or not all those 13 ballista can actually start doing work. They got matched up against the knight, so the knight has a bunch of I think 18 knights, 13 versus 18. There's nothing on the field, actually nothing on either side of the field survives a single ballista shot. So these healers are kind of useless, despite, for the first time actually, having low numbers. The snake archers are causing them to group up, and then the ballistas are just taking advantage of that. Yeah. Yeah, that's an ancient victory, and I don't see anything I can do to change that. Next up, I think this might be our biggest match so far, although I don't know, is going to be the Wild West versus the Pirates. Yeah, we got two major matchups here. The 50 Lasso versus 37 Cannon, and then 12 Pirate Queens versus 25 Quick Draw. Having the one dynamite thrower and one flintlock feels rude at that point. 37 cannonballs going in. All the horses have kind of formed a pile up, meaning that they aren't going to be doing much anymore. And I don't think Quick Draw can dodge cannonballs. It's over. The Pirates have won. Yup. Next up, Light versus the Renaissance. Musketeers, I think, are going to be the main thing to beat for the Light faction. Gotta get to them fast. I mean, 3 Da Vinci tanks isn't nothing. Might have to move that one in front of the Musketeers. Da Vinci tank actually, though, can't not fight Chronomancer. And I mean, Divine Arbiters being there doesn't make it any easier. The splash damage of the Chronomancer, the Chronomancer dial, it's too much for them. Made it close. So let's move that one Da Vinci tank in front of these Musketeers and see if that makes a difference. They are definitely shooting through the Da Vinci tanks without actually killing them. One tank down. They're trying their best to buy a bunch of time against the dude who controls time. 2, 3 down. I don't think it was enough. Yeah, especially with the splash damage Chronomancer dial. That's gonna be a 2-0 for the Light faction. Next up, Tribal versus Dynasty. 3 Dragons is gonna actually ruin the Tribal faction, though. These mammoths need to make it in front of these spear throwers as soon as possible, while they're also killing the spear throwers. It's so over. And then the Monkey King's just gonna go absolutely hog wild on them as well. That wasn't even kind of close. That wasn't even beginning to be close. Next up is going to be the Farmer versus Viking faction, and I think these Berserkers are just actually gonna ruin everything. Unless the potion sellers can really quickly deal with them. No, not really quickly. I mean, they did kind of deal with them. Because if they deal with the Berserkers fast, then it naturally does become a much better deal for the Farmer faction. If they don't, well, I mean, they lose. Because these Berserkers go wild, kill all the potion sellers. And I mean, the farmers only have one harvester on the field. They also only have one scarecrow currently. Alright. That is an old redeem helper. Hello. And to both of you, Hilper and Low Gamer, how are you both doing today? Y'all is running away. That gives the Scarecrow lots of time to throw out more birds. One last enrage. If he doesn't do it with this one, I think he's done. He did it. We, or he didn't. We'll have to do like, this will probably have to be a game 3 moment. You're doing fine today, Hilper. We are actually about 5 minutes away from ending stream, so... Berserkers going in after the potion sellers. If they can kill a lot of the potion sellers, or even distract them enough for the rest of the Vikings to make it back here, they absolutely got this. Did the ships kill? The ships killed 3 of the Jarls. The long ships killed 3 Jarls, and they did so much better in Game 2 than they did in Game 3, or in Game 1. This is Game 3. Wheelbarrow is down. Like, none of the Jarls took any damage. You have to mow down these Jarls and Berserkers. The Jarls are enraged and have made the distance. These potion sellers have to keep... No, they did not keep that one Scarecrow alive. They are very much so done. That will be a 2-1 Viking victory. And then the last match for today is going to be the Spooky faction versus the Dark faction. To see which will reign over Halloween. The Void Monarchs are in and already transformed. The Reapers are getting in, and that's a huge chain reaction. That is like the biggest chain reaction. One Reaper died, and then like everything else died in that circle, except for the Void Monarchs because they teleported out. That will be a Dark faction victory. As we are halfway through the tournament, let us go through our standings here. In last place with a 0-6 win-loss record is the Tribal faction. Next is the Renaissance faction with a record of 1-5. Then Medieval, Spooky, Viking, and Farmer all tied at a 2-4 record. The Light faction is in 6th with a 3-3 record. The Wild West and Pirate factions take another tie at a record of 4 wins to 2 losses. And we have another tie between the Dark faction and the Ancient faction, both at 5-1 win-loss ratio record thing, something. And then finally, the Dynasty is still currently undefeated. So, as we move forward, it'll be interesting to see, well, if Tribal gets a win, and what'll take down the Dynasty faction. I actually don't believe they're... How is it so one-sided? Don't believe that they're actually that dominant over the other factions, but those are the stats.